answers to me. For I am Doom.
Robert Downey Jr. may be returning to Marvel as Dr. Doom. But before Avengers, Doomsday turns Victor Von Doom into the MCU's next major threat. There is one question that matters more than anything else. Who is the man behind the mask? Because Doom is not just another armored villain. His entire life is built from grief, pride, magic, science, obsession, and one terrifying belief, that if the world refuses to bend to his will, then the world is wrong. Victor's story begins in Latveria. Long before the armor, his mother, Cynthia Von Doom, turns to forbidden magic in an attempt to protect her people from a brutal ruler. She makes a deal with Mephisto and gains the power to destroy the Baron's soldiers, but the cost is horrifying. For every enemy she kills, innocent children from her own people die as well. Cynthia tries to become a savior and instead becomes the source of another tragedy. She is eventually killed, leaving Victor without his mother while he is still a child. That loss becomes the first wound he never truly recovers from. His father, Werner, tries to raise him with compassion, but Victor's childhood only becomes darker. The family is treated with suspicion because of Cynthia's actions, and Victor grows up believing the world is waiting to punish him for things he did not choose. Then he loses his father too, when the Baron orders Werner to save his dying wife. Werner knows failure means death. He cannot save her, so he takes Victor and runs into the brutal Latverian winter. Werner gives his own coat to his son and uses his body to keep Victor alive. By morning, Victor has lost both parents. That is the moment his childhood ends. From then on, Victor begins combining the two things his parents left behind. His mother gave him magic, his father gave him science, and Victor decides he will master both. His real goal is not wealth or fame. He wants enough power to reach Mephisto, free his mother's soul, and make sure no one can ever make him helpless again. That path eventually takes him to America, where his intelligence attracts the attention of the government. Victor is given access to laboratories, technology, and resources most scientists could only dream of. And then he meets Reed Richards. That changes everything. Victor already believes he is the smartest person in every room. Reed is the first person who threatens that belief. When Reed discovers Victor's calculations and warns him that his machine contains an error, Victor refuses to listen. The idea that Reed Richards might understand something he does not is unbearable. Victor activates the machine anyway. It works for a moment. He reaches the other realm. He sees Mephisto. And then everything collapses. The machine explodes, students are injured, and Victor's face is badly damaged. He is expelled. But instead of accepting responsibility, Victor convinces himself Reed must have sabotaged him. After the accident, Victor falls into a darker life. He sabotages facilities, becomes a fugitive, and begins suffering from Mephisto's influence. Soviet agents try to use Latveria to force Victor into working for them. A mysterious man named Otto intervenes, revealing that he is more than he appears. Before dying, Otto points Victor toward a hidden order of monks in Tibet. That decision changes Victor forever. Victor leaves Latveria behind because he decides love is weakness. If he loves someone, enemies can use that person against him. So he cuts the last emotional connection to his old life. Then he disappears into the Himalayas. Eventually, the monks find him and take him into their temple. There, Victor spends years learning how to combine forbidden magic with advanced science. But instead of becoming wiser, he becomes more arrogant. He returns to the world convinced that ordinary people are beneath him. And when he sees Reed Richards preparing for the space mission that will eventually create the Fantastic Four, every old wound returns. Victor decides Reed is responsible for his past failure. Not because the evidence supports it, because Victor needs it to be true. That is when the mask becomes inevitable. Victor builds the armor as a second skin. It is not only protection, it is isolation. Technology and ancient magic are woven together to keep Mephisto out of his dreams and to separate Victor from the emotional weakness he believes nearly destro. Get him! When the monks warn him that the metal is still too hot, Victor refuses to wait. He says pain belongs to lesser men. Then he orders them to bring the mask. Still glowing from the forge, it is placed directly onto his face. That is the moment Victor Von Doom dies and Dr. Doom is born. He declares that mortal eyes will never look upon Victor Von Doom again. From that point forward, there is only Doom. His next destination is Latveria. The country is still controlled by the same ruling system that destroyed his family. Victor returns with technology, magic, loyal followers, and the first versions of his Doombots. He does not simply invade, he builds a movement. He uses old Roman roots, underground networks, and the loyalty of people like Boris to spread the message that he has returned. When one leader challenges him, Doom kills him immediately. The resistance grows. The king's soldiers begin defecting. By the time Doom reaches the capital, the war is almost already over. The king's own army refuses to fight. Doom enters the palace and kills the ruler himself. Then he announces a new age, and even after taking control of an entire nation, he is still obsessed with the same thing that began his journey. His mother. He summons Mephisto and demands her freedom. Mephisto offers him a cruel bargain. Once every year, Doom may attempt to save Cynthia if he loses. His own people will hate him more if he wins. Her soul will be freed, but she will still go somewhere Doom cannot follow. Victor accepts without hesitation, and then the story ends with one of the most disturbing twists. A journalist has been listening to Doom tell his entire life story. At the end, she asks to see the face beneath the mask. The figure removes it, but there is no scarred human face underneath. There are wires, metal, circuits. It was a Doombot the entire time. A machine programmed with Doom's memories and personality so perfectly that it believes it is Victor Von Doom. The journalist is stunned, then she learns something worse. She is not allowed to leave. Boris explains that the agreement only promised she could learn Doom's secrets. No one ever promised she would be free to tell them. That is why Avengers Doomsday has so much potential if Marvel uses even part of this history. Robert Downey Jr. is not returning to play another villain in armor. He is returning as a man who turned grief into power, love into weakness, science into a weapon, and his own face into a symbol. Thanos wanted balance, Ultron wanted evolution. Dr. Doom wants something much more personal. He wants reality itself to admit that he was right.